we will now enter into the sixth Anuvaka of the Chamaka Prashna. So when we concluded the fifth Anuvaka, we saw that itischame gatischame. So iti means whatever sankalpas that you take, that is whatever you want, and therefore for the sake of getting certain dharmartha kama phalas, you would be doing many prayers. You would be doing yajna yagadis and all that, worship of Shiva and so on and so forth. So then you will get all the sankalpa siddhi. So once after getting the sankalpa siddhi, it said gatischame, we are also interested in getting the higher levels of going to heaven. So swargadi sukha also. So itischame gatischame. Therefore, after getting a healthy, efficient, comfortable sharira, that means the physical body, then all the senses and sense organs, indriyas, and getting your antahkarana. Antahkarana is manas, the emotional aspect, mind, chitta, memory, ahankara, the sense of I, the sense of individuality, and then buddhi, intellect. So those four also has to be perfected. So when all of these are got, that is a comfortable physical body, very efficient sense organs, very pleasant sense objects all the time, plus a very pure mind, antahkarana. Then Swarga Sukha also we seek. That means even after this body falls, I want to be happy in Swarga also. So if you want to be happy in Swarga Sukha also, you have to get a favorable disposition and benevolence and the grace of all the devatas also. Because how did you achieve the perfect comfort of the body, of all your senses and sense organs, and your mind, etc.? How did you get that? One is you took care of your own body, and then you also engaged with the world in a very good manner. Because as well as we engage ourselves with the world, so well the world responds to us. Isn't it? So most of the time, why is it that we don't get sukha? It is because we expect the world to make us sukha. And therefore, when the world doesn't make us sukha, the world doesn't care for us. The world will be what it is. For example, if it is going to be cold, it is going to be cold. It's going to be hot, it's going to be hot. So whether hot or cold is going to give me comfort or sorrow depends on how I relate to that. And therefore a paradigm shift has taken place, saying that I will engage with the world in a manner so that whatever be the world, my body, sharira, and then my manas, my mind, and all of them remain comfortable. In short, you are engaging with the world in such a way the world responds to you favorably. Same thing we have to do in Swarga also, in heaven also. So in the heaven, what do we encounter? So this particular Anuvaka talks about 20 devatas, 20 special deities. So which are all those 20 deities? Agni, Soma, Savitru, Saraswati, Pushan, Brihaspati, Mitra, Varuna, Tvashta, Dhata, Vishnu, Ashwini Devatas, Marut, then Vishwe Devatas, Prithvi, Antariksha, Dyau, Dik Devatas, Murdha, and then the one which is upstairs, which is Brahma, and then Prajapati, all of these Devatas. So we have a great opportunity in this Anuvaka to study the quality, characteristics and the Swarupa of all the Devatas. So these 20 Devatas we will study. So we will be in this Anuvaka for a little while. So, that is fine. This list of all these devatas could have been given. Why is it that each one of them is appended with Indra? Is the question. But we already have a clue in the beginning of the Chamaka Prashna, Agna, Vishnu. Already two deities have been coupled, Agni and Vishnu. And then the scripture did not visit the dual devatas again. And now suddenly it comes and takes 20 of these devatas and appends it with this Indra. And then each one of these coupled with one name which is Indra. So therefore, who is this Indra? Who is this Indra? Somehow he is getting associated with every one of these deities. Is this Indra a link to these deities? Or this Indra an independent deity? Who is this? So, I'll give you the bottom line. This Indra is none other than our own consciousness or Chaitanyam, the Atma. So, the self, this Atma, the self, has to couple itself with each one of these deities. Just as the self engages with the world for comfort, the self Indra also has to engage with all the other devatas. That is fine. Why use the word Indra? You could have used the word Atma. How did this Atma come to be known as Indra? There is no indication in the Chamaka Prashna itself as to how that happened. So we have to go outside of the Chamaka Prashna to discover how it happened. If you had carefully noticed, in the new section of the Aruna Prashna we studied, there is the whole way in which all that happens. I'll link that to you for you. Let us also go to another beautiful Upanishad called the Aitareya Upanishad. See, the Aitareya Upanishad is from the Rigveda. You will find that on page 12 in the Sanskrit Mantra Pushpam book. And then in Telugu also it is there. In all the Mantra Pushpam books, Aitareya Upanishad is there. So this Aitareya Upanishad starts with a Akhyayika. Akhyayika means a story, an anecdote, because it's always, when you start with an anecdote, a historical account, we can enter into the subject matter with interest. So in the way in the very beginning of time, when nothing was there and there was only one, and that one was, there was only none other than Atma. So that is how the scripture also starts with Atma va idam agra eka asan. So if you look at the beginning of the Aitareya Upanishad, you will see Atma va idam agra eka asan. In the very beginning there was only one, and that was Atma. Then what did this Atma do? He created the world. And then he decided to create all those who reside in this world. So what was the source? The source was, he found that there was the primordial cosmic water. It's not actually water as we know, the element, the liquid. It is, we should use the technical word apaha. So that primordial source of everything is called apaha. That is why he who knows apaha, as we saw in Mantra Pushpa, Pushpavan Pashuman Bhavati. So therefore, from that apaha, what he did was, he drew forth from this cosmic apaha. He pulled something out, just as you would pull a lump of clay from the earth. Like that he pulled out. And then he made it into the form of, that clay was carved into a form. And he called that form as Purusha. Then this Purusha as a form, this lump, it has to be given shape. Because suppose you give a lump of play clay to your child, what will that child do? It will start pulling it here and there and try to make a shape. Like that, this Atma also started giving shape to that. So it created a mouth, it created nostrils, it created eyes, just as the child would create the lump of clay. So he created this. Then after creating all these things, then he said, all these things, if it has to remain in shape, it must be supported by a divine energy. So that divine energy is called the Devata. So he created the Devatas. So the 20 Devatas we will come across in this Anuvaka are those first of the Devatas whom at the very beginning, Atma created, in addition to this lump of clay. And then, once it was created, these Devatas were created. The Devatas came to him and said, where are you going to establish us? Because as soon as you are called upon, then you will say, where should I sit? You take a new job. When you take a new job, what is the first thing that you want to know? Where are you going to sit? Right? And then how does it orient itself with the entire organization? That will be your first question. So this Atma, he showed this Purusha. And this Purusha was well made, because he makes a couple of other iterations. First he will create a cow. And then he will say, hey Devatas, are you interested in entering this cow? Then the Devatas, no, we don't want it. Then he creates a horse. Do you want to get here? No, we don't want the horse. Then he creates the human form. As soon as the human form was formed, the Devatas found that to be perfect. So they say, and he asked the Devatas, you go and choose a place in this Purusha where you want to be. Then Agni decided, okay, I'm going to become the organ of speech. And he entered the mouth. So what is the cross reference we have? Agnirme vacheshritaha. Me in me, Agni in my speech, may he be established. So he went and established in Agni. Agni went and established in speech. Now you see the importance for Lagunyas also. Agnirme vacheshritaha. Then Indro me bale sthitaha. Then Suryo me chakshushishritaha. So like that, the Atma asked each one of these deities, you come and sit here, you come and sit here. You call Savita or Surya and say, Suryo me chakshushishritaha, come and... So this Atma, he did not stop at that. He created the Purusha. He asked all the Devatas to go and stay there. Then from the primordial waters, he created Kshut and Pipasa. Kshut means hunger, Pipasa means thirst. So the next thing he did from the primordial cosmic ocean, he took Kshut and Pipasa, that is hunger and thirst, and didn't do anything about it. He stopped, he didn't even talk to them. Then those two stood up and said, where should we be located? So now you got an organizational problem. So you hired a person, but then you got to find some work for that person. Then this Atma told this Kshut and Pipasa, both this hunger and thirst, and then said, I assign the two of you to all those deities. So with Agni there is hunger and thirst. With Surya there is hunger and thirst. Right? So therefore with Agni, who is in the eyes, who is in the speech, there is hunger and thirst. With Surya, who is in the eyes, there is hunger and thirst. You go and be with them. So all of them got attached to them. This is the reason why our eyes see form. Otherwise, why should the eyes see form? Look at the spiritual side of it. Chakshur Devata, along with hunger and thirst, kshut and pipasa, goes after form. So, therefore, now the world is created, the devatas are created, the purusha is created, hunger and thirst are created, but where is the food? What to do for food? Because you have to create food also, right? For the eyes, you have to create the food called rupa, right? For the ears, you have to create the food called sound. So there is no food. So therefore, Brahma, this Atma, sat in tapas. So after a tapas, he found food, and this anna, the anna or food, which can be modified into a consumption corresponding to the particular organ. So it came in the original unclassified form, and in a condensed form it came, and then this food he created, tried to run away from him. There is a philosophical significance also for that. Let us say you want to chase form. What does form do to you? It runs away from you. It tries, you think that you have caught form, it will run away from you. You think you have heard the sound, it will run away from you. So this is becomes so elusive. All food is elusive. And then this food so created started running away. So what this Atma did was, he tried to grasp it with speech. But it was not available to speech. Why was it not available to speech? Sometimes grasping is available to speech. For example, let us say you are walking that way. Then I'll call out your name and said, Ravi, would you please stop? Right? You are not even looking at me. But my speech can stop you. But that can happen only when, if the Atma can catch with his own calling, let us say sound, with his own calling, without the involvement of the Purusha, then what happens? It becomes again elusive. So Atma then thought, if I can by some way grasp this by speech, then this Purusha, who is associated with all these devatas, they will be satisfied by just saying Anna. If you could catch this by speech, isn't it? If you could catch this Anna by mere smelling, by mere breath, then by just smelling food you should be full. Similarly, by looking at food you should be full. Correct? Then why is it this does not happen? It becomes a problem, isn't it? Then anybody can look at anybody's plate and that's it.
You won't have 8 problems.
You won't have it. So this Atma thought, how can this Purusha, the Devata, the hunger, thirst can exist without me? Right? And therefore this Atma entered through a door, which later on, when I talk about in more detail about Aitareya Upanishad, I will speak on that. He entered in a door called Vidriti. Vidriti is the door. It is called the place of bliss, the place of Ananda. That place of bliss, or the Ananda Vidriti, which is the one which resides in the 3 kinds of body, Shariratraya, gross, subtle and causal, and which will also be in the 3 states, Avastatraya, in that it enjoys. That is why the fundamental source of enjoyment is anna or food. As I said again, for each one of the organs, its own food. Thus the Atma, by entering into this Purusha, with all the devatas located in their proper places, with hunger and thirst, each one of them, because of the entry of the Atma, he took birth as Jivatma. How did Paramatma become Jivatma is an important background to understand this Anumaka. Otherwise, we will not understand this Anumaka. What is this laundry list of all the deities? So now, thus the Atma also got a new etymology in grammar called Atti iti Atma. That means one which enjoys, one which consumes, that which eats. So when the Paramatma has actually created the individual, embedded all the devatas, associated them with hunger and thirst, and he himself enters through the door of bliss called Vidriti, at that point of time, this Jivatma himself pervades the entire body of the individual. Again, another proof as to why our consciousness is there in every millimeter of our body. Then, having thus entered all of these and looking at all this, and this Jivatma remembered from where everything came. And then he exclaimed, I have seen it. I have seen this. For this, in Sanskrit it is called idam, sa, dra. So it exclaimed and gave itself the name idam dra. Therefore, he is called as this primordial Atma who has entered and energized all of these is called idam dra. Idam dra. So there is a rule called paroksha priyaya vahidevaha. All the devatas like to be called in a cryptic form. They don't want to be called in a detailed, big, long sentence. No Telugu names here. Telugu names are how many? I know you will have 4 names, kada. Short names. So therefore, the devatas like to be called by a very short, cryptic name. So idam dra became Indra. Look at the Aitareya Upanishad, chapter 1, Adhyaya 1, chapter 3, mantra number 14. Tasmat idandro, kadacheda? Not Aitareya, Aitareya, page 12, page 12 and page 15. 1:3:14. 1:3:15 అక్కడనే ఉంది కదా దొరికింది 1:3 ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్ లాస్ట్ మంత్ర 14th మంత్ర తస్మాత్ ఇదంద్రో నామ ఇదంద్రో హవై నామ తం ఇదం ద్రం సంతం idam dram sun. See, the Sanskrit word sun means having been. Tam idam dram samtam indra iti achakshate paroksha priyayi vahi devaah. Paroksha priyayi vahi devaah. So in short, this Atma inhering in all our organs as Indra along with the Devatas consumes food. And then it quenches the hunger and thirst. With Agni and Indra, Hence, Agnischama Indrascha me, Somaschama Indrascha me, Savitachama Indrascha me, Saraswati Chama Indrascha me. So, without that Indra, without that Brahman within you, who can claim? It's not just it's being there. Who can claim idam dra? Now I have seen that it is I who is none other than the absolute Brahman. Aham Brahma Asmi. So therefore you will see that this Anuvaka is a profoundly beautiful Anuvaka where every one of our senses are associated with a deity, with a devata, and then it will not let us forget that every single transaction we are getting from the outside world is because of the presence of Indra. Why is it I am able to see? It is because I am able to see because I am that. Why is it I am able to hear? Because I am that. And therefore, this Anuvaka, every single Devata's name is appended with Indraschame. Otherwise, one of the earliest exercises in algebra, what do? They give you 1x plus 2x plus 3x plus 4x, then remove the common factor, then you do x parenthesis 1 plus 2 plus 3. It could have been done, right? So why is it we are not doing it here? It is because this is a highly meditative Anuvaka. So therefore it's almost like the heart of this Chamaka Prashna. So we will look at all these deities, the origin, and then what is their glory, why are they there. So we'll spend some time studying these Vedic deities in the coming classes. So